Right. And so earlier you said showing your clients on your website their faces so people can see themselves
Mhm.
in your clients. I mean, if you are doing those follow-ups at the end of every project where you're checking to see how people are doing, that they're happy, getting quotes from them, taking that, mining that information and sending that as part of your follow-up, like, hey, we worked with somebody just like you. They had a roof like yours. They were in a location similar to yours. Same problems. We were able to solve them. And this is what they said in their words about what we did for them. So being able to just use that instead of thinking, okay, I'm going to talk myself up. Your clients are already doing the talking up for you.
Welcome to Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started. And we are back on STS, Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. I've got Enzo Garza with us today. And Enzo, it is a tradition. No one knows Enzo better than Enzo. So Enzo, give us the backstory. Bring us up to speed and we'll get into the conversation.
Yep. So I am Enzo Garza. That is me. And I hope I know myself. But yes, I'm the founder of Accounting Pros. We've been around for about 15 years. My greatest passion, though, while I do love accounting, is really processes, automation, things like that, and really helping our clients be their best selves and do their best business by not having to sit behind the desk for 24 hours a day and nights and weekends and things like that. So I'm excited to chat with you today about that and help your audience get on that path.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it is one of those things. We talk about this often, Enzo, it's because those things, those daily things, like we all start a business and we wear all the hats and we do all that stuff. There's kind of a need for I give people a 2 year time frame. And if you're still doing all those things after 2 years, we got to have a talk. Okay.
Right.
because you're heading to what we call the owner prisoner, right? 10 years are going to go by. And next thing you know, you've repeated the first 2 years 5 times. And
Right.
life isn't fun. Okay. So we're going to get into that because I think it's a huge need out there and people don't really know where to begin. Okay. Because you've got kind of this overwhelm. You're doing everything all in an average way. So you're not excellent at anything except the one thing you started the business to do. You're really good at that. And now you find you can't really be doing that anymore because you got to do all this daily stuff. So what did that look like? You went through the whole journey. So talk about that a little bit and like what was that for you, that kind of discovery process and then how you did that.
Yeah. So for me, I call myself extraordinarily lazy, which isn't really the truth, and I like to hire lazy people, which again isn't really the truth. I like to hire really fantastic, wonderful, ambitious people who don't like to do busy work that is mind-numbingly boring. But in order for us to document all of our processes or understand our processes, we really had to get the team on the same page of, what are we really doing? How are we doing it? How are we serving our customers? Because I found at the very beginning, because I started the business on my own and didn't have everything documented, that, I had three different people working in three different ways, some maybe more detailed or taking more steps than, the other people. And sometimes those steps are really unnecessary. So really gathering the team together to understand, okay, how do we actually serve our clients? What's giving them the best, like the best experience? And how do we cut the fat or find ways to remove things that, the manual stuff as best as we can? But it was really just stopping and saying, okay, what are we really doing here before going into the next step, which is to document those processes in a really thoughtful manner. And I think that this stopping is a really hard thing for most business owners because you're going, going, going 24/7. And the idea of slowing down is really, really scary.
Yeah, I'm with you there. How was that? Because I love the involve the team, right? Again, owners, again, it's kind of an entrepreneurial mindset that we have to do everything in the beginning until we learn, until
Oh,
we're
yeah.
enlightened, until we're enlightened that we don't have to. But it's really going to a team. It's almost like for some people admitting weakness. I don't know this, but like it truly is. I mean, I'm just talking from the male perspective here, but you're like,
Right.
you run the show, I'm the captain of the ship. I don't, but going to your team and saying, well, what do we actually need? Did you find there was really good insight on that?
Yeah, and I think that there is. a bit of vulnerability that's necessary to have those conversations, because the feeling of I don't know can be really frightening if you think that people expect you to know everything. And I didn't go into accounting to know, marketing and sales and all the things that I'm just terrible at. So for me, it was the idea that somebody else can do it way better than I can. So let's find that person who can mesh with our team, whether they're insourced or outsourced, and get them to do the things that I'm not great at and let me do the things that really allow me to shine. And then talking with the team as well. We have different layers of accounting or accountants on our team. So we've got the accountants who do the day-to-day work. We have onboarding accountants who get everybody, all the documentation done and processes done, and controllers who are reviewing the work. And those take very different minds. The person who wants to do the daily work is typically different than the person who wants to do all the, figuring out the puzzle of getting a person ticked and tied and ready to go into ongoing support. So it's that understanding that it's a different person, and it's not wrong to want to be a controller or an onboarder or whatever. It's just how your mind is built. And then maybe later, if you decide to switch things up and you realize, oh, I really like that, it's okay to change as well. And it's that understanding that it is not wrong to be where you are. Let's just get you in the right seat and get you doing the right things.
I think that's really good insight, because people have gifts, right? They're actually really good at certain things, and there's no, I know I'm kind of probably on the same page as you with this. Is like there's no hierarchy of jobs per se. Like if you're great at this level and you're like the best on the team, I love you. Okay, keep being great, right? And everybody, you be great at your thing, you be great at their thing. And if everyone's great, we're all can be a hero in that part of the journey, right, in this business, and thrive there. And not everyone, because I'll go back to kind of the entrepreneurial mindset too, is people think that we think like everyone thinks like us. So we're looking about we want to grow, we want to expand, I want to climb the ladder, I want to be, and the majority of people do not.
Right. Yeah.
Right. They want to do their job. They want to be really great at it. They want to be enabled to be great at it in a position, know how to win, how to succeed, know what's expected, and do a really good job. And that's one of those mindset shifts I think you have to really grab onto in order for you to grow and scale.
Yeah, and I think that one way that having good processes, documentation, and all that stuff is really helpful in the business is because it really empowers your employees to do their best work. Because if there's a lot of confusion, how do I do this? Another person is doing it differently. Maybe I'm not doing it quite right. That begins to sow seeds of doubt in their mind, and they start to feel like, well, maybe they're not the right person for the team. Maybe I need to go look somewhere else for a job because I'm not quite sure if I'm even in the right place. And it takes a lot to bring an employee on to onboard them, to get them trained up, to make them useful and get them in front of clients and doing just really well. And the more times that we lose employees, it just ends up costing time, money, and then also client trust. So it really has some downstream effects that people don't really consider, that, you're keeping your employees longer, you're keeping your clients happier, and they're staying with you longer. So you have a higher, they have a higher value to the business because you don't have to continue to advertise to find more clients. So again, the stopping and saying, okay, what am I good at? What is my team good at? And then going into how do we actually do everything so that your team has that the mindset of I'm ready to do my work, and they feel that empowerment. I mean, that is like next level. But I think the stopping is just like, like you said, frightening. And we really have to get beyond that and really slow down, or just long enough to breathe with the rest of your team.
That's great. Do you really have your team kind of help build out the process and system? So it's
I
not
do,
something
yeah.
you're taking on your shoulders. You're like, hey, we need to make this, right?
Right, yeah. And I'm not the best person to always understand or know the process, because like I said, like I'm not a salesperson on the team. So I'll have my sales team work with me, and we'll kind of figure out the best way to follow up with our clients, to write proposals, to do all the sales stuff. But am I the salesperson that's doing it? Do I have all the foundational knowledge of sales? No, because that's not my magic, my magic power, or that's not like my zone of genius. So involving people on the team and helping them have a voice, or allowing them to have a voice, also gives them more buy-in, because they feel like they're being listened to, which they are, and they're being heard, and they are being included and not just told what to do. Because like if they're being told what to do by somebody who has no idea what they're doing or what they should be doing, oh my God, that's got to feel so bad.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the buy-in's a huge thing that a lot of people miss on their teams, because if they've created it, like that's something. Like it's so, and now they get to operate in it, and they can
Yeah.
continue to tweak it, because, and that's what you want, because the reality is people, well, I have this saying, it's called everybody leaves. Okay. So
Okay.
eventually people are going to go, right? It might be 5 years, might be 20, might be 5 days, who knows? But we need to build a system that's repeatable, right? That you can drop someone else in, or they just take 3 weeks off,
Right.
and you
Exactly.
need someone to fill in. If there's not a system there, it's going to be ugly, and they're going to come back to a nightmare. So I love that when we do that too, we always, if I'm dealing with an owner, no, every owner wants their business systemized and have process,
Right.
but they're not going to do it. The reality is like well, I don't have the bandwidth for that. I got to do this, this, and this. So we always want to go in and work with a team. Like, okay, who's doing this? We'll go in, and then we put that system in. They build out. It's always way better, anyways.
Right. And you don't, I think a lot of people are still sort of operating in an old school mindset where if you are thinking about how do I add systems to my workflow, it needs to be something that I manually go and write every single thing down. And I need to spend a ton of time doing this. And I'm just having this type of conversation like that's recorded. You can talk to your team, record it, and then take a transcript, go to ChatGPT, go to Claude, and have it document step by step what you're actually doing. You could also do things like using Scribe to take pictures of what you're doing on your screen. It actually like annotates the screenshots for you. I mean, there's so many ways that you don't actually have to do this by hand, or you can cut that time way down. But I think it's just the understanding of, there are tools available. Let's just try them out. And then you don't have to be perfect the first time. Just get started. And then you'll just keep getting better as you build that muscle over time and realize, oh, now I've got many of my processes documented when, I don't know, 6 months, a year ago, you didn't have anything like documented at all.
Yeah, it's so critical. The tool, I love you brought up the tools, because this is what really enables you to do it quickly. But screenshots, screen recordings, voice recordings, they're all, the people can listen to. They can go to them. They have a question. They go to. They don't have to come to my office. They
Right.
pull it up and they're labeled properly. And they look up, how to do a payable. I don't know, and they jump on there and they do it right. And they can watch it 17 times if they need to, right? Just
Right.
watching the mouse move, and they click here, and someone talking them through it. When I show that to business owners, a lot of them, like you said, they're a little bit still. Well, I'll just air quote antiquated still, but they're like, oh, I go, this is what they need, because they don't want to come ask you how to do something.
Yeah.
Okay. Because now they're feeling inadequate anyways. And they got to go bother you because they don't know how. But to that same thing, Enzo, I also found like some are so lacking in processes. And I'll give you one real world experience. Like hire a virtual assistant to answer the phones, and don't give this person even how to say hello. Okay, like how do you greet to like, and then they're upset they can't do the job. I'm like, I'm not understanding the upset part.
You set up for failure at that
You're
point.
just
Like,
like,
of course, they're not going to know what they're to do.
I was a little bummed out too in the VA. Like they should say, well, what am I supposed to say? Like they should, like, well, what do I just hello? And you just wait, so, but it's really, it can be that bad. Right.
Right.
And in the simplest form, you talk about a system or process. How do you answer the phone? It
Right.
sounds complicated, I know, but it's like, it's just a
And with
sense.
And how many times has that business owner answered the phone? 100, 1,000, 10,000? I mean, so many times. And again, they don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. Do something like take your transcripts and ask Claude or ChatGPT to write a script for how you answer the phone. And we have something right now where all of our sales calls go through Claude, and we actually have it extract frequently asked questions, or things that can go like become frequently asked questions, and they're automatically tagged. They go inside of our Notion account. So a new salesperson salesperson or anybody on the team can know what are the most common things that people are asking and how do I answer that in a way that answers it completely, but also might incorporate other needs that they don't even know that they, to ask for. And it's that stuff that it's almost hands-free for us. And we have to go through and make sure that it's correct. Occasionally there's some hallucination or things are slightly off, maybe if somebody answered something incorrectly. But for me to go through every call one by one that are sometimes an hour long, and we have hundreds of calls, that would just be a nightmare. So having something do it in the background automatically just makes it so simple. And, answering the phone becomes just, let me just see what the script says for me to say.
Yeah, what I started doing with some of my clients is we use the Applaud device,
Okay.
that records and you can upload that to chat. I have them use it on all their sales calls. So they're going
Okay.
on the field, they're talking to someone, they're walking through the estimate, record the whole thing, upload in the chat, just like you said,
Yep.
break that down. Here's what you're going to have. I said, so you're doing 150 estimates in the season.
Right.
That's a lot of recordings. But you know what you're getting from that? And you don't have to do all 150. All the objections you could ever hear.
Yep.
Okay. All the questions, like you said, you're building something that like you can build duplicatable sales systems. You can take
Yep.
all the information and do it. If you've got AI answering the phone in off hours, it has all of that. It
Mhm.
understands the objections when it hears them. It can truly warm your lead. It can set an appointment. It can do all that kind of stuff because we found that the off hours we did a kind of a diagnostic on. Okay, we answer the phone 8-9 hours a day. What about the rest? And we estimated, again, average job is $3,000. Blah blah blah. It's $80,000 a month you're leaving on the table, possibly not getting because no one's really answering their questions, right? They either get a voice recording or whatever, but no one's engaging with them. So the technology is getting to that point now with AI and everything else that we can actually engage the client, the potential client, right? And he can ask the questions. He can give those answers. The delays kind of gone and all that. So you're really creating a powerful setup for both the automation and your live person talking that really is going to help you close deals. Like I said, you're leaving a lot because I tell people, and so you know this, I'm sure, no one's more interested in what you do than the moment they call you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to capture that then. That's when you do your work.
Seize the opportunity.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. So we need to use these tools for those kind of things. We have to understand that there's ways to doing that without adding another, air quoting an employee, right? Is getting these systems in place.
Well, you also have to think about like younger generations. So people who are Gen Z, maybe just getting into the place where they might be an ideal customer or growing into that in the next couple of years. Are they going to be calling you on the phone? They might not be. Maybe they're going to want to look for information on your website or talk with the chat bot and get answers really quickly. So even being able to funnel that to that chat bot, those commonly asked questions to be able to respond, or be able to write blogs or have an FAQ page on your website that answers those common questions. Because number one, you want to get people the right answer. You want to make sure that, if they are interested, that they are getting their answers back really quickly and that they're moving on to the next step, which is, having someone come on site or whatever your next step is. But at the same time, you also want them to disqualify themselves if they're not a good
Yes.
client. So if you have something on your site that says our minimum service fee is X and they want Y, like something way less, then why would you want them to call and waste your time going on site and doing all these things if they're just going to say no anyway? But it also gives them a frame of reference for the next time when they are ready that you start at such and such rate. Maybe if it's updated, you can always update your site, but it's both qualifying and disqualifying. And I think people forget about the disqualification part as well.
Yeah, it's so good. I was doing the same thing. We were building for this one service company. I'm like, we need that. We need to qualify / disqualify people on the phone because you're going to their place of residence. Like that's a 2+ hour investment. I mean, what does that
Right.
actually cost when you can get rid of them on the phone if need be? But like you said, I love that you set that on the website. And then again, if someone's talking to them, engage in the same thing, you got to ask these qualifying questions just to set the tone because you're saving them time. You're serving them in a really good way. People think it's kind of negative, but it's not. They can move on. They can find someone who can do what they need to have done for the price they need to have it done for. That's just reality, right? A lot of
Right.
people out there doing the same thing for different prices. right?
Yeah.
So, 'cause again, that's a whole different discussion. But but it's like when you understand how you can really qualify people over the phone, you're doing everyone a service, right? Your salespeople, you're helping them out a lot. That wasted time, I mean, that time's gone forever. You're never going to get it back. So I love that you're thinking about that. I think it's really important. It is a very left, an underestimated tool.
Right. Have you ever read the book, They Ask You Answer? I think that's the name of it.
No.
So that's okay. It was a book that was written by somebody who was selling pools, and I think this was probably back in like the or, mid 2000s, early 2000s, and their business was in a really big slump, and they realized that if they answered their clients' questions on their website, that it increased their ability to be found. So their SEO went up, and they actually had better quality clients because they sort of self-educated before they got to the sales process. So I mean, this when somebody gets to the point of calling, they're already at the very bottom of the funnel. But there's all this other stuff at the beginning, like educating, learning about you, getting, warm to the idea of even picking up the phone and calling you. So the other thing is taking any of those objections or any of those questions that come up and putting that into material on your site because you are actually going to be putting in the terms that people are asking about and looking for. So maybe they had a question that's very hyper specific to your product or service, and you have multiple people asking that question. By putting it on your site, it's going to naturally be able to find or allow clients who ask those questions online to find you because it's written in their language. And I think a lot of times we make the mistake of talking about our business like, we're so great, we do this wonderful thing, I'm so awesome, but not really talking to the pain points of the customer. So bringing in elements, I don't know if you've ever heard of story brand, but bringing in sort of
Mhm.
story brand elements where you make your client the hero of your story or their story, and you are on the journey with them. That could really change the way that people perceive the company, but also the way that people find you. Because, if you're trying to answer a question that's not being asked or they don't even care about, like, what's the point there? Answer the questions that they really want to know and then go in detail because with that, you'll get long tail keywords and things like that, where you'll be able to be found and maybe in a search term or in a way that you didn't expect because now you're being more complete in the way that you're, I don't know, talking about your business online.
I love everything you just said because I often had these conversations with my clients like, listen, you're always talking from your point of view. You're always inside industry. Okay. Your clients are not inside industry. They don't know the terms. They don't care. All they know is they're freezing because their furnace is busted. Okay.
Right.
They don't need to, they don't care about BTUs and all this stuff. Like, how fast can you get here? Am I going to be warm? Can I take off the 3 layers of sweaters? Right. That's what I want to know. So we really, I love you say that because I think more people have to come from the customer centric point. What are their pain points? What do they run into? I did this with, some of my clients. I said, well, your construction do a lot of that. Just go look up reviews. What are the top 10 complaints in all of construction? They're all the same, right? You're going to say, they don't come on time, they don't communicate, the music, well, whatever it is, right? I said, so find those. And this little thing we did like a reverse guarantee. So I said, take those, all the things that bother people. And instead of saying, we guarantee complete satisfaction, dumbest line ever made in history. Okay, worthless, so subjective and ambiguous, it doesn't matter. I said, start with this in big block letters. We will never, and then say the pain point. We'll never do that, and we'll never do this. That's going to make them go, they understand, right? You're going, we don't do those things. All the things you hate, we don't, we're telling you we're never going to do them, right? It's just a different way of thinking, but now you're going into their world because everyone, like we do remodel or we do new construction. Anyone who's done it once has a horror story. Okay, they all do. It's just whatever that might be, they have it. So let's get that out front. Let's get that out front so we can, boom, we're not going to do all that. And they go, okay, they get it. You're setting an expectation early on the site. So I love that you're saying that stuff because that customer view is what matters. You have to
Right.
speak. Yeah, I love it.
And I think that like that hesitation, like, oh, I want to call about getting, a new HVAC, or I want to call and get my a new accountant or whatever. But oh, the last time I did this, they never showed up. They charged me more. It was a bait and switch. It was all these things. And so that just like removes that doubt immediately because they know, oh, okay, they've already said the thing that I don't want to happen. They're not going to do that. Okay, maybe I'll call this person. And maybe you do always show up on time, and maybe you always stick to your original estimate, but you don't say anything about it. You're not getting anything from that at that point. Like maybe you'll get some referrals, but think about how many more clients you'll have if you just change the language by a few tweaks. I mean, it's not, you're saying the same, you're saying what you're doing, but not being quiet about it. If you're quiet about all these things that you do, nobody's ever going to hear it.
Right, right. Now go back to the old school Domino's Pizza, 30 minutes or it's free.
Right.
Okay, we'll give you, and that was, I mean, you talk about a way to explode your business. That was huge
Yeah.
for them, right? That one thing, but it was time laden because people waited an hour waiting for this. And it's just college kids, they're by colleges. They want it now. They have no patience because they're 18, and that's how 18-year-olds are. 'Cause I have a few, they're all like that. So like they tailored it to that, and LinkedIn did it, and they
Yeah.
delivered, and gave away a few pizzas here and there, so it's a win-win.
Right.
So yeah, really good to think that way. I like what you said about that, is understanding the hesitations. And if you tie in that, also what people don't get into is 3 to 4% of all buyers are ready to buy now. So you've got like 97% that are not going to buy right now. Right. So what is that process? So what's their first point of contact? Because I'll tell you, you're talking about chatbots. I think maybe 2 years ago, I encountered my first chatbot. Right. So I'm like trying to order this stuff, and you it was really good, a really good one for 2 years ago. Like you kind of thought you were talking to a person, right? But it's
Okay.
hitting all this stuff. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. They're like in Hawaii and stuff. I'm doing this thing. I'm like, but it totally answered all my questions. Like, because I'm like, well, why isn't this in a subscription? Why can't they get this product? I want this product in my subscription. You can't, and whatever, so we go through it. But I'm like, that was so cool. I didn't have to actually talk to someone. The chatbot's not upselling me. Okay. That might come later.
I was going
Okay.
to say, it
But
can upsell you.
yes, I know. Right. But for right now, where you're at, it knows where you're at in the journey. This is the point, right? It understands this is information. I want to get this, one of this, and they can answer all that. It was a really great back and forth conversation. So that's when I really got interested in the technology, the AI, and everything else. I'm like, because it's a bot, but in the beginning, it's always horrible, right?
Yeah.
Remember Zoom? We're on Zoom. Remember Zoom in 2013? Okay, it was. If you don't remember, it was awful. Okay, but it was new, and you were doing something, and it quickly adapted. Now it's a mainstay, right? So I love
Yeah.
those points.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go back to pizza just for a moment. And now I'm of course getting hungry, but you talked about the 30-minute guarantee. The pizza tracker I don't know if it's Pizza Hut or Domino's, is also probably one of the best inventions ever, because it lets people know, what's happening next. Like, I got your order. I'm working on your order. Your order's on the way. Okay. It's here. You paid for it. Goodbye. So, I mean, how can you also adapt that to your business model? Because a lot of times there's certain parts in the sales process, or like, servicing your clients, that they're like, okay, what's next? You came out, you talked to me. You said you got some things to do. I don't hear from you for a few days. Like, what can I expect here? So using that model of like updating your clients, and it can be something that's automatic. If you're using like a project management software or anything like that, giving them insight to what's actually happening next, so they're not left hanging, really does improve the overall experience of the client. Because that's one thing that happens a lot, is like, okay, I haven't gotten an email. Did they forget about me? Like, did they forget that I need their help? And really, they're in the background working furiously to get, your work done, or get ready to get started on your project, and you're sort of just like in the dark. And so using something like that is just another great way of improving the overall relationship and the experience, and then turning that person into somebody who's, going to sing your praises to all of their friends and anybody that will listen, rather than hearing them, moan like, oh, God, I haven't heard from them in a week. I guess I don't exist anymore.
Right, right. It's interesting. I just came back from Albania. Okay. Everyone's been to Albania, probably not, but it's a little place that's really cool. Here's the thing in Albania, right? So we have DoorDash and all that. Well, they have a thing there. It's called Woltz, okay, Woltz, and they deliver everything on little motorcycles. It's chaos. If you've ever driven there, it's absolute chaos. It's lawlessness. Okay, it's what an experience. I mean, it's insane, but it's actually cheaper to order your food than to buy food and make it. Okay. So they got these guys. I mean, they're buzzing everywhere. And you got a tracker, like you said, you know exactly where they're at, what the timing is. They ring you up when they're downstairs with the order. They do it. It's amazing. Like we spoke because my son's there. He's at the embassy there and stuff, so we're visiting him and it's like we're just doing this. We go, that's really cool. And then these guys here's the delivery guys. So you see them and they got these like baby blue kind of boxes on the back of their motorcycles. Some will have the helmet, some will have the blue jacket. And my son's going, well, that's all status. That's how good they are. The better they're at delivering on time, they keep getting all this merch. So when you see a guy decked out, and they arrive 10 minutes early, they're here, they're like, and they're going. It's like really cool. So they've built this really cool system with an app, but you watch what road they are. It's really cool. So to your point, that's service, right? And now it's an affordability thing, and it's just everywhere. This is in Tirana, right? The capital and stuff. So busy city, but it was really fascinating to see that level of service, through an app, through a delivery.
Yeah, so that actually makes me think a bit about employee recognition. So going back to working with your team to do, process development or improve processes, add automation, whatever. Say somebody has a really good idea and it shaves hours off of your work, or it just makes everything much more simple, or clients really like this new process. Don't forget to talk about this with the rest of your team. Say, Bob did this really amazing thing. Can you guys believe it? We were doing all these steps before. Now we're doing this and it's way better. We have all these clients who have said these nice things about that person, and really take the time to recognize that person's contribution to the improvements of your company or organization, because that will instill a sense of pride in that person and make them more likely to come to you for improvements later, but also allow the team to see that you actually are recognizing those contributions. If you're just taking what they're saying and implementing it, but not going back and saying, wow, this is amazing, let's make sure everybody knows about this and that you did this thing. I mean, like, you have to take that time. If you don't take the time, like, you're not going to have people innovating for the business in the future. So don't forget that very crucial step, because again, like, the outcome for that is outstanding. Like, I take all the time that I need to recognize my team, even if we have to go a little bit over on meetings, because I'm excited, that they're helping.
Yeah, that's such a good point. So I always say this, people, they want three things, right? They want purpose, they want to work for purpose, they want quality feedback and recognition, and then quality pay, like in that
Right,
order, right?
right.
So like you put that recognition, I see it in business, like some have none. Now I will raise my hand as the guy who wasn't big on recognition. I don't buy gifts well. I don't do anything. Okay. I like to hire someone to buy gifts and stuff. So I'm just no good at it. I'm terrible. But my guys are like, well, you're working hard. That's the reward in itself. Okay. That's my mindset. Again, the entrepreneurial mindset. I work hard to create this thing. That's enough for me. No one else thinks like that. Okay, we're just
Yeah.
odd ducks. Okay, so that recognition, I've actually gone to companies and created programs. Like, what does the recognition actually look like? It's just not talking it up. Like, give them something physical that recognizes that, beyond a
Yep.
gift card, right? Something that's going to sit on their desk or be on the wall, something like that. Like you said, that's an investment that creates loyalty, retention. We talked about retention. The cost of retention is massive, right? Having to train up that new person, everything else, and just having them feel accepted, inspiring other people on the team to continue to innovate or start to innovate and bring that stuff to the table. That's a culture shift in a business when you're able to do that.
Yeah, and I think you also have to understand the motivations of people. So yeah, like, the recognition in words is great, but some people are like, show me the money. And of
Yep.
course, we want to do that. But then some people find gift cards to be impersonal, and maybe they want something special, like a plaque or a watch or a shirt or whatever whatever you have. And there are ways to make that affordable as well. We use a swag company online. It's called Cover, I think, with two V's or two O's. I don't know what it is, but you actually just like put your branding on a website, and you can like put it on mugs and t-shirts and all these things. And it's sort of like direct distribution, where I don't actually buy all the swag because that would cost me a ridiculous amount of money to keep every size of shirt in stock.
Right.
But I give them credits. They can go and buy the swag that has our company logo on it. They feel good about it. And that could be a way to recognize without it being terribly expensive. But there's so many different ways. You just really have to listen to your team, and not necessarily ask, what do you want? Because if you ask somebody what they want, they might go,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I want." But listen, like the conversations that are happening outside of that. What are they interested in? What do they like doing? What makes them tick? And then find a way to recognize that employee in a way that really resonates with them.
See, now I'm just telling you, for me, I have to find someone on the team who wants
Okay.
to do that because I would not, I just don't have that space.
That's
So I
okay.
don't care, but it's like, but I totally get what you're saying because, and I love that whatever the company is, that's a same day inventory mindset, right? So now
I
having them
see.
pick their own shirt, right? They can get it. They get that one. They get it for them. Like, when you walk in, you just hand out shirts to everybody, and none of them really fit right. They look terrible and everything else. So like, I was always like, I don't give crappy shirts.
Oh
Okay,
God,
I don't. I
nothing's worse
don't
than a crappy shirt. It's
nothing.
scratchy and fits weird.
I do an event. You're giving out shirts. Well, they are really nice shirts. Like
Yeah.
people are fighting over them if I'm tossing them in the crowd, right? Because that's the cotton whatever. I forget the brand. Just yeah, no one wants that. Okay, unless I want to
Yeah.
work on the car or something. Okay, I'll put that in the work on the car. But it's like it's really important. We'll hit this real quick because I think when you're doing recognition, just like we're kind of hitting on here, the level of recognition matters. Okay, the gift matters. The public announcement matters. A picture on the wall matters. Okay, so again, it took me a long time to like think that mattered. you know
Yeah.
but but over time we're like, okay, well, I could have done that a lot better. I didn't
Yeah.
lose a lot of people. I just hired people like me. That's what that was my workaround. And so that's what I did. So I realized that later. I'm like, yeah, I just hired a bunch of me. I wasn't a great leader, okay, back in the day, right? I'm like, we did really well. We create incredible things, but that's because I kind of cloned myself. I didn't really
Yeah.
have a we'll call it a more diverse workforce. Now there's 5 generations of people working together. You know what I mean? You're not getting that. You're not finding you better figure out how these guys tick.
Okay, so the name of the company is Cover. It's COVVER.io, and it's all direct shipped to your employees. You just have to go and put your high res logo on it, and they can pick anything they want. We can even do things like Carhartt jackets. Like there's really nice stuff on there,
Nice.
but I don't know what people want. If I give them a mug, maybe they have too many mugs, maybe they have too many shirts. Like they can use the budget to how they like to use it. And the next thing, okay, hiring clones of yourself. While at first it seems nice, you realize later that it ends up becoming like a very, I don't know, your ability to reach people becomes very narrow because the people who you're working with are going to be diverse. You're going to have men and women. You're going to have all different ages of people that you're going to be working with, different regions of the world or whatever. So, you have to be able to find people that will be able to work well with your clients. And sometimes, if you're a contractor, maybe it's a woman, maybe they want to talk to a woman salesperson instead of a male salesperson. So there's all these, desires that people have of like who they want to work with that might even be subconscious. And if you only hire one kind of person or the way, they all look like the same person, then you're missing out on the opportunity of reaching people who might be looking for something different when they're looking for a new person to work with.
Yeah, that's a great point. And this is, I call it kind of high level thinking. It's more visionary thinking. When you're really looking at your business, you get that 10,000-foot proverbial view,
Hmm.
right? And you look at that, and those are really good points. Because I also think that too, like, what do people, who who sells better? Well, it depends on what they're selling, right? There's some generalities and stuff like that, stereotypes, if you will. But in general, it really comes down to, I always say like this on reviews, like when you get reviews for your business, I said if you can get a picture of that person, okay, and they submit the review and they give you a picture, put those on your website because you know what people are looking for themselves, right? So they want to see here's the senior with the white hair, here's the young person, here's the professional. You start getting the fat, the skinny, the whatever, right? They want to find themselves and they connect with that picture. And then that review, and like, now I'll do this. So to your point, sales very similar, right? Like, who are we actually working with? I mean, obviously, if you're all about fitness training, you probably don't have a bunch of 400-pound land tunas pitching pitching the fitness program, but you get the idea, right? Male and female and everything else. I
Or
really
maybe
like that.
somebody that was out of shape a while ago and has gotten themselves in shape and being
The
able to
story.
relate their story. So
That's it.
maybe they are super fit now, and looking at them, you wouldn't realize they used to be a lot heavier.
Yep.
But knowing that somebody else has struggled and has gone through the struggle is really impactful.
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't have to look at it and look that way in the moment, but having their story about your
That's it.
team. Hey, I'm Enzo. This is what my life is like. This is what I like doing. Finding a way to talk about yourself. And it doesn't have to be, terribly personal, but what do you like to do? What are you interested in? What's your life like? Do you have kids? Because those are all ways that we can connect as humans to our clients. It doesn't always have to be so, Mr. Business, and, look at me, I'm so, I don't know, serious. It can be something that is more of a personal relationship that you're building on. And it really should be because, this isn't something that's always totally transactional. You want to have that relationship for a long time. You want them to refer, you want them to keep coming back. And how do you do that? Is like, you get to know each other and you like each other because people want to work with people that they like working with.
I think people are drawn to people's flaws, that transparency of them, that authenticity. Now that's the big word, but it really is. It's like we get on and we talk about like that. The great example was I was this and now I'm this. I was this, I was, 80 pounds overweight. I lost this. I really got into fitness. Now I'm doing this. You can do it too. I never thought I could, blah, blah, blah. Right. So we understand that. And I think when you talked about story brand stuff earlier, the stories are where it's at. I have a high-end home builder client. They went through a whole mold issue at their home. And his wife got very, very sick. They had to move. They had to tear the entire house down, build a new one, moved into a newer rentals while that was being built. That had mold.
Oh
Okay, so
my
they had to do all this stuff, right? So this whole story, and now we started building healthy homes because now you can build them where they can't have mold on. It's like change the course, but we put the story as the lead video when you put the website. Oh, it's amazing. Like you talk about connecting, that's the story and what they went through, what this was, and people get it, then the how to's and all that really cool stuff. But that's what people are drawn to. They'll follow a story, right? If you begin that story, they'll take it through, even though you don't have to have all the pictures and high end video, like they'll just go through that story because that's where they're really connecting with you as an individual and as a company. And too many people are trying to be, like you just said, trying to be just, we're great at this business. Well, that it doesn't move people. Everyone's got options, right? And if everything's about relationship. People have really kind of forgotten that. You've got AI and you got automation and you've got all this other stuff. And I think that everybody else is going to do it for them and they forget that relationship in business is still the most important thing. Whether you're dealing with clients, I get that AI and stuff can do the everyday stuff. They can take care of all these tasks no one really wants to do. But when it comes down to reacting to your clients, serving your clients, that relational aspect is really, really critical. And your story and other story in that whole thing is really critical to making that long-term connection for repeat business and referral.
So, relationship, like you said, it all comes down to that. And I think that a lot of people think that if you implement automation in your business or AI, that the relationships become less solid or they become sort of artificial, like you're very programmatically, hi, how are you doing? Sort of checking in with people. And it just feels sort of fake, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. I think that we tend to forget to ask for things like reviews at the end of doing our work or follow up and just make sure that people are happy. And having an initial follow-up like that, like, hey, how do we do? Let's talk. Those sorts of things can be automated, but that's just allowing you to get to the next step, which is to have those like real conversations over the phone or in person with your clients, and really sussing out like, what did you do really well? What did you do not so well? So you can improve over time. But I think that there's this like misconception that once you start to use AI and automation in your business to manage those relationships or manage those initial conversations, that it becomes something that falls flat and isn't liked by your clients, when in fact getting in front of them more frequently and asking how we're doing is the most important thing. You just need a reminder to get that done or something that sort of kicks off that next step. And not having to worry about, oh, I forgot to ask that person how we did, or are they a promoter or a detractor? Are they neutral? It's like you don't have to wonder about that because you're setting yourself up for success versus failure.
And I think what you're saying, so just clarify this for me if I'm off base here. Utilize the AI, utilize this technology and automation to, it's basically like set an appointment. Okay. Hey, Richard wants to speak to you. Just want to set up a time to be convenient for you real quick. So you're taking 60 seconds of their time so we can talk to you about the project, blah, blah, blah. Right. So like you're really like it's an assistant that's
Right.
setting it up and making it real legit. Like, hey, he wants to talk to you personally. He's just not going to call and you're not there, or maybe he's going to take up your time. So we're going to do this briefly. So is that kind of what you're saying? Like use it to
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
up the
Yeah.
relationship building aspect? Yeah.
Yeah, so let's say that you're using a project management software and you say that you're going to start on the 1st of January with this project and you expect to be done by the 31st of January. Maybe it's a long project and you have different phases in the project. And at the end, the job is complete. So there could be a few ways that you can get in front of your clients to make sure that things are going well from their perspective or that things did go well. So maybe 50% of the way through the project, how you feeling? Is everything okay? Do you have any feedback? How are we doing? The next could be the job finishes and it kicks off the email that says, "Hey, it looks like we just finished your project. I'd love to hop on a quick 5-minute conversation, a call with you so we can have a conversation about, from your perspective, how do things go? No pressure. It'll be really quick." But having to remember to do that takes mental energy. And
Right.
so you've already got yourself, you're already spread so thin. You've got so many things going on. Taking that one step away from you and just sort of making sure that it happens no matter what. And then you can spend the most valuable part of your day talking with your clients and understanding how you're doing. I mean, you don't have to waste your time doing all the manual follow-ups. It doesn't have to be something that's really cheesy and formulaic. It just can be a quick 2-sentence email that goes out, just reminding them that, hey, we finished, it's important that we did the job really well and that you're satisfied. And if not, let's talk about it. No big deal. That email that goes out is the automation in itself. You don't have to worry about doing that manually.
Right. Yeah, that's so good. And these are the points we talked about right in the beginning about just game changers. These are routine tasks that when you can automate it, because here's the thing. Well, first it always go out on time. If there is a voice interaction, whether it's AI, whatever, it's kind of always the same. It's always friendly and has a name and greets the same and answers the questions. It doesn't have a bad day. That's what I'm saying. So
Right.
it's probably the right person to be doing those follow up setup calls. Because I ran through I did a whole analysis of following leads, like paid leads, and it's seven plus calls before you even talk to someone, right? Following up on leads, they just called. So I'm like, okay, do that. We started running the numbers. I said, so you're going to follow up on these calls. 7, usually on the 12th, 15th call when you finally get someone, right? Now, I'd be
Yeah.
the last guy to do that. Most people don't do more than 3 calls, right? But you start doing the numbers in 2 months, 3 months, you're making 3,500 calls a month. You going
That's
to
a lot
do
of
that as
calls.
an owner? You going to do that as an owner? I don't think so. Okay. So, like, this is the automation part. Like, someone's got to do that until, you connect good, set the appointment. You're going to be the only one left standing, anyways, because no one's going to make 12 calls. All right. But
Right.
now, if you can automate that portion, that's how I leveraged it. Once I got that figured out and started doing it, I was making some bank on those paid leads, because people tell you they hate paid leads. I'm like, well, what are you doing with them? You're not
Right.
doing the follow up, right? So automation for follow up, I think, is one of those things that should be implemented yesterday in your business.
Right. So, yeah, you really need to get your money's worth because every dollar counts, especially if you're trying to grow your business. So, doing things like those automated phone calls is great, automated emails, text messages, all that. Like, people are going to be in various places throughout the day. Maybe they're not going to be on the phone or available on the phone, but they'll have their phone near them so they can see a text message or they'll see an email come through. So, make sure that you're also following up in multiple ways. And then there's new technology for things like automated voicemail drops where you can skip the voicemail and go, or skip the answering and go straight to voicemail. Because I also don't want to bother people throughout the day, but I can use that technology, like what is it? Drop Cowboy is one that I've used in the past, where you can just send an email like, "Hey, we talked last week. Want to see if you have any questions about the proposal that I sent out." You don't have to change much about that because it's not personalized. Or you can use AI to create a voicemail that sounds like you, but then you don't have to do 3,500 follow-ups every single month manually. You can have that automatically go to their voicemail and let them know, "I'm still here. I still want to talk with you. I still want to close this deal." Because like you said, like most people are not doing that work. They're not doing 15 follow-ups or however many it takes to actually get closed. I think like most sales happen after the sixth or seventh touch point, something
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
So if you're only doing two, you're really missing out.
Well, it's the same thing. I would tell this to a lot of business owners. Someone calls, you talk to them, you set up an appointment. And I kind of have this rule. I go, it's a 4-day minimum before you can get there. So I'm like, I got to get there right away. You got to be first. Well, okay, but let me tell you why. Okay. You want to warm the lead, right? So they've called, they're cold, they're looking to get, and I had a roofing company, they need a roof. Okay. Here's the good news. They probably don't need a roof today. Okay, pretty sure they don't need that today. They're probably not really excited about having to drop 15, 20, $25,000 on a roof. So there's no excitement there. So what I want to do is take the time to warm the lead. This is automation, right? You confirm the appointment. You send them some content, what to look for in a good roofer. Here's a consumer report. Here's this, a reminder again about the appointment, and then day of and everything else. So all of a sudden you've got those 7 touch points before you even hit the driveway. Okay. That's how you warm the lead. And then I took it another step further now with AI when we talked about confirming and qualifying. Now now you basically have a hot lead. If you do this right in that confirmation process, and you overcome their objections early before they're voiced. Now you're showing up to a hot lead. Now you're basically coming in to confirm and pick up a check. That's how I look at
Right.
it. Like, so you have to embrace that process. You have to know your sales cycle. What does
Yeah.
it normally take? Again, if they're in that 97%, they're not ready to buy now. What does that look like? How do you nurture that to really warm them? Take them and really fine tune your process where it's going to give your probability of success exponential increase in percentages.
Right. And so earlier you said showing your clients on your website their faces so people can see themselves
Mhm.
in your clients. I mean, if you are doing those follow-ups at the end of every project where you're checking to see how people are doing, that they're happy, getting quotes from them, taking that, mining that information and sending that as part of your follow-up, like, hey, we worked with somebody just like you. They had a roof like yours. They were in a location similar to yours. Same problems. We were able to solve them. And this is what they said in their words about what we did for them. So being able to just use that instead of thinking, okay, I'm going to talk myself up. Your clients are already doing the talking up for you. All you have to do is find that, mine that information, and add it to your follow-ups for those prospective clients. And then they'll be able to see, oh, maybe they can actually solve my problems.
That's awesome. I haven't thought of that. I always
Genius.
learn something. I always think this is why you're here. This is why you're here. No, I'm good now. We can stop. I got something. No, but this
All
is
right.
I know I love that's why I love podcasting actually. I always learn something. This is
Yeah.
never no one's ever been on where I didn't take something away. But that's really good. And now you actually have the technology to mine that data and make it
Yeah.
match, right? So it's like before you'd be literally like scrolling or whatever you're looking for something in a document.
Like,
But
what did they say in that conversation? I can't
yeah, remember
remember. Oh, but it was
Mrs. and
last week and I
Mrs.
was tired.
That was Mrs. I forget her
Ugh,
name, but
dang. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So yeah, it's really that's another thing just on this. Like, I don't know if just because I've been doing this for so long, but I want it's gonna sound stupid. I just thought this. I want memory management.
Yeah.
Okay. I want this to like you got to remember this stuff for me, okay? Because I don't have the bandwidth to hold all these things, but it can. Like, give me a situation where this happened. Boop, it pops up 3
Yep.
reviews. Like, I'm telling you, like that is the tool a must have
Yep.
because we're all human. We're all going to err. We're going to have the bad days. We're not going to remember something. We're not going to remember all the details when they came in fresh,
Yep.
because we tend to want to remember the good things, not the bad things, or vice versa. But again, tap into technology that can pull that up for just what you said, the big gold nugget of the whole show so far, of really using that in that way, man, that's awesome. That is
So
really awesome.
you just said we remember the good things and maybe don't remember the bad things. So sometimes clients aren't going to be totally happy with you. Maybe they had some complaint that needs to be resolved. Also mining for ways that you can improve. So go back and look at all the recordings or all the transcripts from those conversations or emails where people have, communicated with you about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Find the ugly and then fix it. Because then
Yep.
you can say, okay, we are really improving. We're really pushing the business forward and we're not just like taking that in and not doing anything with it because that is useful and meaningful information to have. And it's like a golden nugget. If you had 10 clients who were upset about this, fix the problem. Now you get good reviews. So like, you're golden.
Yeah, and fixing those problems create raving fans.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I had one thing I always recommend, I always suggest to my clients, you've done something and you see the people aren't happy or they're upset, and I said just one simple sentence. What can I do to make it right?
Yeah.
Because it'll be a fraction of what you think they're going to want. They'll be like, I had one like, well, if they could just get that trash over there. I'm like, okay.
Okay, we'll
Is
fix
that
it.
it? We're good? Good. Okay. All right. All right. Oh, this is so great. I'm so glad. It's always something small. You think it's going to be big because that's what we think, and it's not.
Right.
So that, what can I do to make it right? And just
Yeah,
be
don't
quiet.
invent that bit. Don't invent the mountain if it's a
That's right.
molehill, you
I'm telling you,
know.
it always turns out less. It always turns out less, and it's a good thing. So you learn these little things like that. But again, now you've completely satisfied them. It's now it's objective and not subjective. Right now they
Yep.
can truly say this is best. And they went above and beyond. I mean, you'd be surprised doing that little thing, and they tell them they went above and beyond. They do this. It's
Yeah.
like, wow,
Because nobody else does it.
that's
Because your
right.
competitor isn't doing it. And there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of competitors on, out there. Just try to be a few percentage points better, just 10% better, 10, 20% better. Do something to make your clients feel like appreciated and wowed and just like that you actually care because you do.
Yeah, you really have to get away from the transactional mindset.
Hmm.
I think that's where people and there's not many businesses that are pure transactional unless it's like a vending machine. Vending machines pure transaction. Even now it probably says thank you or something, but still,
Right.
so but I just love that, if you can get into this thought process and use the technology to enhance that, because we're all at different places. Like I always kind of joke, the empathy scale. I used to be like a -3 on the empathy scale, and I've worked all the way up to like 0, 1. We're 0 to 1 once in a while, so I know that's one of my limitations. So I I have to automate that into my factor it in my people work for me. I have to factor that into I need higher empathy people. Like
Right.
that's kind of one of the litmus tests. Like you
Yeah.
can't you can't be like me. Okay, and I don't.
Don't be a robot.
That's just I don't. I'm not looking at anyone like I don't want anyone like me. Okay, so
Right.
one of me is plenty. Just ask my wife. Okay, it's
Well,
plenty.
so
So
you have to hire imaginative people because a lack of empathy is a lack of imagination, imagining what your client might be experiencing. So find people who have that, high empathy score, but maybe don't put them in a sales position unless or
right,
don't have them be like the like bulldog closer. Have them be I don't know,
yeah,
something
that's not
else.
going to work. You're right. That's not going to work for them. Okay, they're not
Yeah.
going to close anything except the
Oh, well, we can give
doorman.
this one for free. It's
Yeah, I'll
fine.
give you this, and we'll do this. Yeah,
Oh, you need a little empathy in a salesperson, but not like 100% empathy.
yes, you're gonna let them go and tell them they owe you money.
Right. We'll pay you. We'll pay you.
Right. So yeah, but it's really being creative, just like you're saying about the use of technology. I think that's kind of where we're going with this whole conversation. There's a way to use this because I think I mentioned before we jumped on air was a lot of my clients, again, service trades, things like that, they don't think it fits. They don't think it fits like, well, I do that. I mean, AI can't sweat pipe. I'm doing this and this. Well, it doesn't want to. Okay.
Right.
What it
Yeah.
wants to do is take these aspects that you don't want to do and really, and someone asked me, and so I want to get your kind of opinion on this. I try to share like you've got this person doing these follow-up calls, these day-to-days and all this stuff. When I can take that away with AI, it's not costing them their job. I am opening them up to do bigger things in my company, to do things that, that only they can do, or to put their mind to work and be creative, right?
Yep.
Because people are like, I correct chat a lot. I'm like, you can't do that. Okay, like it's gonna tell you, go, we can't do that. He goes, oh yeah, that's on me. Darn right, it's on you. Okay,
Right.
so you got to be awake when you're doing this stuff, But at the same time, let's get our people to do bigger and better things for the company to give them
Right.
greater purpose, right? More recognition, So and because that just no one really wants to do that day to day stuff.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think that there is that fear that my job is going to go away, that I'm not going to have anything to do, but really there's 10,000 other things to do in the day. And if you're struggling with adoption and using AI, what I've done is I have a team ChatGPT account. So all of my teammates have access to their own instance. I can't see the dumb questions that they're asking, like, what is accounting or whatever they're
Right.
asking day to
Right.
day, because that's personal to them. It also helps because we can say, don't use our information to train the model. But then I require that all of our team during our company meetings, and we have, small team meetings and larger meetings, we talk about what did we do in the last week with AI? What was something like a win? What did we find that I didn't realize I can do? Because then that also gives other people the opportunity to learn and see what's possible. But like also get over that fear of, well, if I do this using ChatGPT, I'm not going to have a job in a year or whatever. It lets them know, oh, now I can do things that I actually want to do instead of spending time doing the boring stuff.
Yeah, it's magical. That's all I can say. I got into whatever you're, the stuff I'm doing now in chat. And my son's a big coder guy. He's like, Dad, I don't think anyone's done that. I think if you pull this off, that's a pretty big deal. I go, well, no one's gonna do it because no one's a lunatic like me to spend this kind of time to make it work. But it's an incredible tool. It has its limitations like any other tool. But there's so much power in this stuff again to empower your teams to again to quickly advance, right? To get answers quicker and everything, basic stuff. So I just love you brought all this stuff up. This has been a fast conversation. This hour has flown by. I'm looking at it going, wow, that's awesome.
We did
And
it.
yeah, we did it. But there's just so much more. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? There's just so much more to this, but I think we hit a lot of really good points. Probably, yeah, there's a lot. Maybe this is a two-time listen. You gotta get to
Okay.
listen to this twice, you
We
know?
have to do a
Uh,
part two.
that's right. I love part two. You could be the select few. They get a part two. That would be
Oh,
awesome. Because there is a lot. I'd love to go next level. And we should do that. Because
yeah.
there's a whole nother level that you've already
Like, how do you
experienced.
actually do this? Like, let's talk deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go workshop. Let's go
Right.
workshop, man. We'll get into the nuts and bolts a little bit. I'd love to do that. But that being said, how do people get in touch with you, follow you? You know the drill.
Yeah. So I would love for people to reach out on my website. If you are a small business owner that is struggling with accounting, HR, payroll, you want to do it in a more automated fashion, you want to automate your financial processes, we're really the place to go. It's accountingprose.com is where you'll find us. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Enzo Garza, Enzo-Garza. But, I'd love to help people make easy work of their accounting, make it not the thing that they really loathe, and make it one of their superpowers, because the way to move forward is not just all this automation stuff, but knowing your numbers, getting yourself in the right place, having metrics that you're following, and making sure that you're hitting those marks every single month.
Yeah, that's good. And I don't know many people that say, no, I got this. There's
Yeah,
a lot
right.
of like,
Did anybody, I mean, most businesses that aren't accountants, did they start their business to be an accountant? I doubt it.
right,
I doubt that
right.
that's something that they love to do on a Friday night.
Yeah, I think it's a weak spot in the
Yeah.
majority. It wasn't mine early on, just not interested at all. I got math PTSD. Okay, so anything with numbers I didn't like except was what they owe me for the job. That was about the only thing I was interested in. But
And
yeah,
lots of
so
people forget to invoice, my friend. Like
oh,
they get to they finish the job and then they don't even get the money.
okay, like we could spend a show on that. I'm telling you, I did the same thing. Like, well, I had one client. He goes, well, it's one company. They owe me $1 million in unpaid
Okay,
stuff. I go like, oh, and he goes, well, I actually told him I can't work for them anymore until they pay me. I go, well, that's good, but you shouldn't let it get to $1 million.
that's a lot.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of money in receivables. So he goes, well, their subs actually, or their foreman have a meeting every week on how to delay payment to their subs. Is a big
Okay.
construction company. of like, wow, that's wow. Yeah, I'd
Red
be
flag.
I'd be I'd be showing up, sending my boy Large Lewis to talk to him, and he's
Right.
gonna give him a little
Just
work over, get paid the easy way. But yeah, no, but you're very right, man. Receivables, that's a whole show, I'm telling you.
oh yeah.
Like that, and man, you go deep. I'm gonna have to stop there because like I could just go right down that rabbit hole, man. That's a really good one. We'll do that in part two
Okay, that sounds good.
because that's a good one. Make a
Yeah.
note of that. So wait, get my AI memory. Where's my AI
Yeah.
memory? Bring
Beep
bring
boop.
this up for
Siri.
the next show. Yeah, it's awesome. Well, Enzo, thank you so much for the time today, man. I really appreciate your professionalism and everything you've accomplished is really amazing. Like you've really embraced all this stuff, but kept the personal side. You know, you still got the relational side and everything else, and really blended well in your business and helping others. So I really appreciate that because that's not an easy thing to do.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so you
Appreciate that.
and you've done it,
Means a
so I
lot.
really appreciate it. Yes, absolutely. And for everyone else, we will see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.